if we could do it all over again, what would we do differently?
Ooh.
So we have 5 things that we're going to go through that we learned through experience, and experience is the best teacher.
Yeah, sometimes hard lessons.
So we have a brand new real estate business and team, and the first one would be office space. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. Well, we came from brick and mortar where we
Yeah.
had an office, and I don't think we knew any differently that it wasn't an option to not have an office to go into at that point. Right. So that was almost 10 years ago. So yeah, I was in the office every single day. We had Shauna on our team who was there with me, and I didn't know any different.
And we were told that top teams have their own team offices as well.
Right, so that you can have your huddles and stand-ups and team meetings and
for people to come into and
right,
work out of.
Legion, make your calls.
That still happens today.
Yeah.
Not with us,
Nope.
but in the business and in the industry.
Some people prefer it, but I also think some people just don't know that there's an alternative that exists.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all that changed. We moved to a cloud brokerage in 2018, and all of a sudden the office that we had was no longer available to us. So what did we do?
We rented from what is it called?
Regis. Yeah, like a temporary office location where you could rent a room.
It's kind of funny, like saying that out loud. It's like seems still so archaic because of our experience. So initially we were excited to get in there, arrange the office, kind of like do the whole like office thing coming in, and then and you were there running transactions and all things admin, and then we invited the agents in, and so for like the first month or two.
Yeah.
It was exciting.
Yeah, and it was nice too. Like we had the corner office with the
all
like
the
windows that looked out onto like water. It was so nice. Yeah.
And then it just like kind of like we didn't go in a day or 2 days, and it was just more convenient not to go in, and it kind of became a hassle, and the agents didn't drop by, and then I think at one point, I don't know what occurred to me, but I was like, hey, do you want to go and do that? Do you need to go in the office to do your job well?
No, like I didn't. I was sitting at a computer. I could sit at a computer anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Yeah. And then you didn't have to worry about like work attire and lunch and all the other stuff.
Yeah, and you know what I think the biggest like reason for having it became, it was our signs. It was the for sale signs and the open house signs and the lock boxes, and how are we going to coordinate everybody getting what they need? So storage actually became the biggest hurdle. Like we have, now it was, okay, we don't have to have a place for us to work. We have to have a place for us to store everything.
Yeah, to keep our stuff somewhere.
Yeah. So we went from the big corner office to literally a broom closet, still renting it.
We were renting the broom closet.
Renting a broom closet. I was still going in with our TC every day. But we had a place to store everything. But on the flip side, the overhead cost of having an office that the team wasn't utilizing, it didn't make sense for just me and a TC to be spending so much money per month on something that we didn't need. So we just had to find a better way to store our stuff.
Yeah. Which meant my garage.
Right. Which is where everything is today.
Which is totally fine.
We all figured it out.
So no office space was far more efficient and far more valuable to us, because then you didn't have to worry about driving. We didn't have to worry about, again, like all the stuff that comes along with that, of lunch, of work clothes, of the wasted time.
Yeah, literally I got a raise when I started working from home. Like my quality of life became better because I wasn't rushing around to get somebody somewhere and then get myself somewhere. Gas was so expensive.
And we run our business differently than others, because I know others may be thinking about like, well, what about like accountability or call hours or this and that, whatever, and we're going to talk about that. So no office for us. I wouldn't change it. The only thing I would have changed is to do less office sooner.
For sure. That not having that obligation financially every month is huge for us. We're able to take that money and pour it into our business, like where it really matters.
Right.
Yeah.
And if someone says, well, how do I know that my people are working if they don't come into an office, or if my agents are working if they don't come to an office? And I would say, you have the wrong people.
I would agree.
The second thing that we've learned, if we could do it all over again, is buying leads. What we used to believe is if you wanted to grow, you needed to buy leads. And other successful teams and people, everyone just bought leads. That was part of the business. And what have we learned?
Gosh, like it doesn't have to be. I think that's another instance of like we see other people doing something and it's working for them, so we just assume that it's going to work and be best for us.
And also that assumption was buying leads means more business, which means more money. And that was actually not true.
No, yeah, when we were buying leads, it wasn't the same.
On.
Yeah, I mean, it was like we did Realtor for a little bit. We did Google LSA stuff too. But what we noticed is just the quality, the difference in quality was just so different from our organic lead sources.
What we learned was it was less quality, it was less money, and it required more work and more oversight.
And more pressure.
More stress.
Yeah.
So it actually achieved the absolute opposite of what we wanted.
Right. And we were forcing our agents into a different model. They had to, it's speed to lead, right? And some teams are built that way. Ours is not. And it wasn't built that way from the start. So when we were like, okay, like we're more leads, but you got to call them right away.
Right.
And that just wasn't a fit for our team
not
style.
And you're right. It was speed to lead, which affects their lifestyle. But then also, now that we were paying money for leads, we needed to ensure that they were being properly followed up on. And in order to do that was a higher level of accountability, which means someone would have to manage.
Right.
Like a sales manager.
Right.
Did you want to be a sales manager?
No.
Nor did I.
Right.
So then what would be the next logical part of this process? Hire a sales manager. And we learned the moment you start buying leads, that's got a domino effect that opens Pandora's box to be a completely new set of problems that you never would have had if you didn't buy the first lead.
Yeah, it's kind of like the grass is always greener. You think like, okay, well, we've got all these organic leads, but we could get more if we pay for them, and more isn't always better.
Not at all. So what we realized is like we'd rather build our own lead gen engines that we can control. And what we found is when we generate the leads that are right for us, they're better quality leads, they're more enjoyable to work with, we have control over them, and we make more money.
Right.
With
Everyone's
less
happy.
stress and less aggravation.
Less oversight, less accountability. Yeah.
Okay, what's the third thing that if we could do it all over again, we've learned?
It leads into accountability. I think we have a mature group of agents. There never has been a lot of accountability like we typically saw. Maybe things are changing, but
what are some examples of accountability, like an 8 a.m. huddle?
An 8 a.m. huddle and then an end of day check-in. I know some people would have to submit a form every day with the number of dials,
other teams,
the number of conversations,
appointments,
and
contracts.
So every day they're sending all of their numbers in and someone is reviewing that. And then, I mean, that leads into performance review plans and, you're on probation. And we've never had a system like that.
Some people call that accountability. I call that micromanagement because we love accountability.
Yes.
But that kind of stuff was like micromanaging to the nth degree of like teenagers. And so we've decided that takes a lot of time and effort, energy, focus, and money to have that type of micromanagement. And someone has to own it.
Right.
I'm not interested in that.
No. And I think like back then that was missing from our business, and we had outside influences being like, you need this if you want to grow. Right. You need to convert more, and you put these things in place because you care about your people and want to help them reach their goals. But I think that kind of goes back to like, well, who are the people on your team? Because that level, our team would see that as micromanagement and not as accountability to help them reach their goals.
Yeah, you're right.
So for us, now what has been the challenge? We do have a little more accountability built into what we did 10 years ago. So if we could do things differently, I think probably a little more accountability than we had 10 years ago. And it's harder to insert accountability afterwards.
Right.
I think that's not that it's a mistake, but it's been something challenging when we have wanted to up accountability a little bit.
It's been challenging on our part. I've been the one slowing it down because I'm very slow and very cautious to implement something that may have domino effects that we just don't know about yet. So I appreciate we question everything, and we also take decisions very slow. A lot of times, like, I'll talk about something, I'm like, hey, let's just like put that on the back burner and let's just let it marinate, because there's something that we don't quite know yet, and I don't want to roll it out to the whole team and then change it again next month.
Right, exactly. But I think if you're going to do something and you're set on like, hey, this is the way I'm going to manage my leads, like, start with a little bit, not too much that's like micromanaging, but it's always easier to pull back than it is to add on later. So just taking, like you said, like, hey, here's all of my options. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to let this marinate for a little bit, slow down and think about like what could be the best, because it's always easier to pull back than it is to put new expectations in place.
You're right. And then on the other side of that spectrum, we just talked to our friend that we coached earlier, and he was about to roll out some performance reviews for a few of his agents. And I'm thinking, I'm like, man, like, is that what you want to do? And is that what they want? Because this is what we decided. I don't want to run a business where I have to micromanage everyone.
Right.
Therefore, the problem is not my level of micromanagement or accountability. The problem is the people you hired. That's just smoke of the fire of you just brought on the wrong people.
Right.
And so if you don't want to build a business of a high accountability, then bring on the right people that don't need a high accountability. And I've said this many times, I have 8 kids in my home right now, 3 of which we're still wiping their bottoms, 1 of which is hit or miss. You know, maybe they got it on their own, maybe we need to come back and double check. But just like a sales team, like, we're not bringing on babies that need their heinies wiped. They're mature, responsible adults that have their own needs.
Right.
And if they're not able to like find their way, then what am I going to do to come back behind them and micromanage them to death to get them to do something?
Right. Yeah. All comes down to the right people and the right system that you have. But for us, like, micromanagement is never the answer.
I'm not interested, nor am I going to hire a full-time sales manager, a middleman. That's what they're, a middle manager that literally find their meaning and purpose to micromanage other people. Just get the people right, and you can eliminate that entire role.
Right. And I think we're going to come up maybe on something, but like, what are you doing with all that data that you are tracking? Like, if you are going to track dials and conversations, like, are you tracking it just to make them feel bad when they don't hit it? Or are you tracking it to track it for a specific purpose that's going to make the business better?
That's good. And guess what? The people that do well with the micromanagement and accountability, they're going to do it anyway.
Right.
That's just the way that they're wired. The ones that always struggle or whatever, they're never going to get better. That's just the way they're wired, and that's fine. Nobody is right or wrong. It's just you decide what you want for your business and then hire the right people.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Financial systems. This happened, 2019. We go back to this. So if we could do it all over again, we would have educated ourselves or hired a coach and leaned all in on professionally tracking our business and our accounting, our finances.
Yeah, because again, it's easier to have something in place than to try to clean up later. And
generally people that have good businesses are great at like doing real estate, but that also means we're probably not that great or diligent in other areas. And when you're doing a lot of business and making a lot of money, then the money's just flowing and you don't really have to monitor it. And so like all these deals are coming in, the commission checks are being, and so it's like, I don't have to worry about money because there's plenty of it.
until there's not.
Until there's not. Especially as you're growing a team and growing a new business that you just don't know about.
Right. Or like, let's think back. Thank goodness, like I started with the team in 2017. We started financial systems in 2019. Thank goodness it was only 2 years instead of 5 years or like 10 years to get these systems in place. We were still kind of small. But as we were growing, you're absolutely right. Like money's coming in until it's not, or until the market shifts.
Yeah.
And then like the tide goes out. And this was 2019. We didn't even know COVID was going to be a thing.
A year later.
A year later.
Right.
So
Thank goodness for that.
Thank goodness. If y'all take anything away from the mistake, put a financial system in place if you don't have one.
And we fully subscribe to Profit First. And there's the Profit First book, there's Profit First coaches, and then there's also a follow-up book called Profit First for real estate agents. And it's a set it and forget it. It takes a little effort on the front end to set up, but then it's set it and forget it. And now our business is running a 40% profit margin after everyone is paid, including the government, including myself. Like there are no outstanding anybody to be paid, and it's running 40% profit.
And we have a secret stash in case of emergencies that's put away, just in case. But like running a 40% profit margin is something I am really proud of. And it takes very little effort in order to do that.
After you do it.
After the systems are in place.
A 40% profit margin on any business is insane.
Right.
So
but especially in real estate, because we know of a lot of teams that are wildly successful doing a ton of deals and there's zero profit. You had to put a perfect note here. Revenue isn't profit. Transactions isn't profit. Volume isn't profit. It's profit is profit. And so a lot of times we see on social media, you know, these top teams and they're boasting this stuff, but we know because we were that. Right.
It's like, hey, like, are you in this to be number one for number one's sake? Are you in this to sell the most amount of homes, or are you in this to be profitable? Right.
And I think too, make sure that everything is included. Like you just said, like our taxes are included, like taxes are taken out. It's not included in that profit. Your salary is not included in that profit, you know, so everything is accounted for. So that profit is true profit, because when you start, we question everything. That's kind of our theme. And when we started questioning and asking people questions like, well, what, you know, like profit, and they're like, oh, well, no, that doesn't include my like I haven't taken taxes out of that. And it's like, but taxes are a legitimate business expense. Like you have to pay those. And the more we questioned,
there's above the line, below the line, and like depending on how the quarter's shaping up, you can just move stuff.
You can move stuff above and below the line depending on if the owner spent it or if the business spent it. And so it just became really unclear and very muddy when we were just trying to ask questions to get some answers to help us set it up. But people are doing some really different things. Lots of teams track it different ways, but track it with the most visibility. Like track it for the worst case scenario.
That's good. I know when you started implementing this, I was 4 years behind on taxes. And now our taxes are paid before they're even due. Like we have more than enough in our tax account, which is just set. And guess what? I don't have any less money because of that. I just have a ton more freedom, and I don't have this. A lot of us, when we're overwhelmed, we just take the head in the sand approach, and that is absolutely the worst thing we can do.
Yeah, no, everything is there. I love that taxes are paid and profit is there, and so we know exactly how profitable we are going to be before the end of the year even comes, which is just a lot of peace of mind, and there's no weight.
Yeah.
Like there's not a dark cloud kind of hanging over us until the end of the year.
Yeah, you're right. Agents work so hard. They sacrifice so much only to be stressed out over money. You're like, what's the point here? We could do a lot of things.
Right.
So let's get our finances right. And then the fifth thing, if we could do it all over again, this is really good. And you really just discovered this within the past few months.
Yeah. So systems, so we're going back to 2017. That's the whole theme of this podcast right now. We go back to 2017 when I first started in transactions. I had my manila folders and I would print out the contracts and all of the pieces of paper would go into the folder and it went into a filing cabinet. When you do that, I think once I got to about like 10 folders on my desk, complete overwhelm.
Yeah.
Because I'm like opening the folder and trying to figure out where I'm at. So the theme, what we would change is scale. I would change how, if we could go back, I would build systems that scaled and not just for what would work right then, because that was giving me 10 transactions. Well, then I would have to stop and figure out a whole new system to handle 20. But then the team grew and we were doing 25. So then I have to stop. So if you're going to build something, don't just build it for today, build it for like ever. If you can build it to hold 10, build it to hold 100.
10x.
Just 10x it right from the beginning. And that takes a little bit of slowing down to think, like you've got to visualize.
Yeah. It takes a lot, and that's why most people won't do it, because it's so overwhelming. If you're doing 10 deals, how could your mind possibly wrap its head around doing 100? You're like, oh, why would I build a system around 100 deals? Because it forces you, it's so extreme, it forces you to like take the playbook and just throw it away and start from scratch.
Right. So the book that I just recently read that kind of was so exciting and really challenged me to think bigger about ideas and scale and throwing the playbook out the window. It's The Science of Scaling. And I just read it a couple months ago, and it really challenges you to stretch your brain and what your perception of what is possible really is. Like, there's no dumb ideas. So put all the options on the table and go with the one that's going to give you the biggest and longest like result possible into the future. So
and I know a big part of that, and there's probably like a list of questions that you ask yourself now when you're creating new systems, but you really want to look for bottlenecks or any manual touches of the system to minimize at all costs.
Yeah, anything that I have to do, it's like, how can I use the system to do this? There's eliminating every manual step possible is the goal. I don't want to touch it. I want to build it, and I want there to be an input, and that I don't want to touch it in order to get an output. So that's the ideal goal. So how do I get from input to output? Think of the worst case scenario, like all the way through. And I know people don't like that, where it's like, oh, that would never happen. It will happen. So I always try to go to what's worst case scenario as I'm building this, and where will this fall apart? And it takes discernment and like almost like you have to kind of like remember those Magic Eye books? Like that's the zone you need to be in when you're like flipping your vision so that you can see something that wasn't already there.
Because if you were able to see it, you would have done it.
Exactly. But you've got to slow down and like do whatever it takes to like make your eyes flip so that you can see that picture that's hidden. That's what it takes to build a system that will scale.
And the reason people don't build systems like that is because in the moment, they're like, oh, I can just do this myself. And they solve that painful circumstance, but that painful circumstance will never go away. It's actually just like 2 days ago, we were just driving along US 1 and the railroad, the train was there. And I was thinking, it's like, do you know how hard it was for them to like make train tracks whenever they were building the railroad system? And like the time and the effort and the energy of like every single track. But once they did it, it opened the entire country to mass transportation of goods. Like it changed civilization. That was a massive system. Versus before, it was just like however they were like transferring goods.
Yeah, like one wagon at a time.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And so like that was like so much time, effort, energy, and money. But if you're serious about growing and scaling, then the systems 10x way are critical.
Yeah, you've got to slow down because what's at stake, it'll work for a little bit, but then you've got to start all the way over again with a whole brand new system.
It's just going to break again.
So you may as well just build it 10x from the start. Slow down because otherwise you're going to have to stop when you're already busier. Because 10, okay, like I can slow down with 10 and rebuild, but it's harder to slow down when there's 20 or 50 or 100.
Right. So if you're doing 100 deals right now, whatever the pain point is, you should look at the system and say, okay, what do I need to build for this to be able to run 1,000 deals through it? And that will completely change the outcome. And then you never have to go back.
You never have to go back.
Yep. All right. Well, this is so fun to look back at our last 10 years through our experience and realize what we were so set on, what we believed to be true. Now living this out is radically different.
Yeah, and none of these really came from reading a book. We've fumbled through all of these experiences. So I think slowing down to speeding up has been the biggest, help as we've grown. Just before we do anything or before we take huge action, just give it an extra second.
That's good. Give it a lot of seconds. I think as you say that, 3 things come to mind. Slow down to speed up. Question everything, especially anyone who's telling you you should do something. Don't just take them at face value.
Right.
And then the third is to don't chase the smoke. Find the source of the smoke to the fire and make sure there's actually a fire or a problem to solve. Frustrations and annoyances actually tend to just be that. They're distractions.
Makes us feel busy.
Makes us
trying
feel busy.
to deal with the little frustration.
Okay, this is wonderful.